Some rider show happening. Here we go. Here we go. We're on. We're live.
Yeah, this time hopefully everything's okay. We just had a bit of a technical difficulty, but we're on, guys. We're on. Okay, so I'm gonna kick things off today. We've got David Mirza. We've got
Hello, everyone.
Newbie Brown. David and I met 2018 October for the first time when I moved working for UP City to UP Mayfair, where I was actually David's mentor with the way things are structured at UP. The more senior trainers are elected to mentor the newbie trainers, and that's how I know David. So David is on today to share his experiences around why he's a personal trainer, where that started, and his continued development having become a personal trainer. I think that today's episode is going to be really interesting for people out there who are in a similar position where maybe they've only been in health and fitness for a few years. Personally, I think David's on a meteoric trajectory to being one of the best coaches in our industry because of
you.
Because I'm a teacher. It's all because of me. Yeah. Because of the way he applies himself. I think David definitely applies himself to the craft really well, and I want to hear more about it today. So, David, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Welcome,
no worries,
brother.
Man, no
it's
worries.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, it's always nice to catch up with David. This is a happy time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah, man, too long. We caught up in London a few was it over a year ago now, wasn't it?
I don't even know. I just know that I have all your household items here in my flat. Because Alex left it with me, you know.
Do you know what? I totally forgot that Alex left it with you. I thought Alex still had it up there. That's why when you messaged me and said, I've got your signed pictures of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
about
to throw them all out because I'm doing such.
eBay, mate. eBay. You sort you right out. I wonder how much that shit will go for. I got those from a client, so I was pretty nice gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So, David, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you called Newbie Brown.
Yeah. Oh, I'm more newbie to the podcast, I hope, than to personal training.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I studied economics in Hungary, and then I realized that sitting in front of the computer like this is not what I want to do with my life. So I
we'll
wanted.
See you later then. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye. Yeah.
So I wanted to do a PT course, but it takes 2 years in Hungary.
Wow.
So you don't learn more. It's just a different structure. No, you don't learn at all.
You just come in.
I was going to say,
6 months of lectures. You just do 4.
And that's what you get.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's wild.
Yeah.
6 months in this country, you can get it done in 6 days.
2 years.
No, 2 years.
Oh, sorry, 2 years. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Wow.
I don't even know what they can spend that much time on.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's like you learn the same stuff.
Yeah, the same nothing as here, exactly.
The same. You might as well do nothing for 6 weeks instead of nothing for 2 years, right?
Exactly.
That's wild, man. I thought when you said 2 years, I was like, man, that must be intense. Like that's legit. It's like, no.
Oh, if there was any knowledge, I would have stayed on.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be the new recommendation. I feel like clients ask me all the time, like, which PT course should I do? I want to be a PT. I'll be like, just firstly, don't go to Hungary. Just stay in the UK. Do it in the UK, you'll be fine. Whichever one you do, it's better than everyone in Hungary. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So why the inkling to be a PT first? Where did that start?
I think I always wanted to teach, like help, not necessarily people, but help and teach. And I was teaching a bunch of things before because I was good at school, and then I was really good at classical guitar, so I was teaching a bunch of things. But I got interested in training, and there as well I had a training partner that we always went to the gym with. And I was kind of taking the lead because I read more on training. And then
go on.
And then that somehow transferred into into becoming a PT.
Nice. And early on, what kind of things were you reading? I find this really interesting because I remember it's the first kind of things I used to read. Yes, there you go.
Nothing else.
Charles Poliquin.
Just Poliquin.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Did you have any of his books, or did you find it online?
Oh, so in Hungary you don't have money to buy these things, you know.
I love that.
So it was just online.
Okay.
You know, everything in PDF format.
Nice.
And yeah, I read everything, all his articles, everything.
Did you ever try? Sorry, go on, G. Go on.
Yeah. What was it about Poliquin's philosophy that spoke out to you?
Mainly that he actually had a philosophy, you know, like he seemed more thoughtful, more like insightful than other people. Like I could see the thinking behind it. And back then I didn't have as much of an understanding on biomechanics, nutrition, pretty much anything, because like we all know that Poliquin has some like interesting ideas as well. But at least he had some like more science-based ideas, and then I just try to branch out. You know, it's hard when you try to learn something from scratch that you don't know who to trust and who not to.
Yeah.
So I think the reliable way is just finding one person that you trust and just kind of branching out. You know, whoever they mention.
Yeah.
You start reading up on them, and basically that's how I got to UP as well. It's on the Poliquin website. He has a bunch of clients that he worked with, a bunch of Olympic athletes, and Nick Mitchell as well. So I was like, who is this Nick Mitchell guy? He looks scary. And then I read up on UP. It turned out to be a gym here in London, so I applied.
Nice, man. So so you came over from Hungary to apply to work here?
No, just to do the course.
Just to do the course, right? Yeah.
Just to do a PT course, because it would have taken 2 years in Hungary, but it takes 3 months here. 3 months? Yeah. So just to save time, but then seeing what monies PTs make out here compared to the £12 you can make per hour in Hungary, I decided to stay on.
Yeah, cool.
I like it, man. I like it. That's early doors Poliquin. I think I definitely started there as well. It's such a. I remember being the guy in the gym doing front foot elevated split squats with my clients and being like, no, your ankle must go in your bum. Like it must go all the way up, right?
Yeah, but
like if it doesn't count. Like,
but no bending on the back knee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts here, like everyone. I know it does. Hurts me there too. Solid. And then like dips where like your bicep must touch your shoulder. Like it doesn't count otherwise. Oh man, so cool. But at the same time, I completely agree. Like the methodology looked so solid, and the fact that he could back it up with real results. I think that must have been what Nick Mitchell saw initially, was that there's a business here. There's definitely a business here to market actual science, but then show people, look, everyone can do it. And I mean, that's what got us to UP. What got me to UP was like, oh, these guys are really doing it. They seem to have a method. And even with Poliquin, I felt like there was always questions that I had. We talked recently about Pat Davidson and how we listen to him, and sometimes there's, oh, I've got more questions now, which is probably a good thing. You know, I mean, it just shows the gaps in our knowledge. But you can see the appeal from the outside of UP. It's like, oh, you got these results. How did you do it? And before you know it, there's trainers like yourself and me kind of showing up at the doorstep, being, oh, I want to work here too. I want to learn the ways. And touching on that briefly, like obviously I know how that UP time was for both of us, but how have you found it kind of PTing in London? What was the initial start of it like for you, and how has it gone from there?
I think I got it very easy with getting a job at UP. Like I know a lot of people struggle with making a living and picking up clients, and I would have definitely struggled without UP, especially with how my English was back then. I used to be much smaller, older. Like I was very Poliquin based, but not like, wasn't clear enough on a lot of things around training and nutrition. And basically UP just gave me an opportunity to fill up these gaps. and to just grow, really. So I got it pretty easy with that, even with how UP was.
Yeah, that's true.
It gave me all the opportunities, even if it was harsh in ways.
And that's a really good summation, I think, because it definitely isn't the ideal working environment or structure, I'd say, but because you're kind of relying on people to give you more than maybe what they can, but then it highlights for you where you're weak, and definitely highlights where you need to go away and do the work, and there's no deficit of training, like application sometimes there, right? Like you do get pushed, maybe not as much as when we were there now, but our experience, I think, was a wholly positive one in terms of helping us develop at the start, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
It's a really good place for developing trainers, I think, and for I think 20 week results for clients, but not. I'm not sure if it's a long-term place to stay in, because you just burn out, especially as a trainer, right?
And as a client, I think sometimes the second phase of programming, it's like people always talk about, like, if you're an artist, writing your second album is like tough because you don't know where to go, and I'm sure you can speak on this way better than I can, but I found that a struggle. I found that we could have the initial 2-week boot camp, and then start including carbs from berries and put a little bit around post-workout. Everyone did the same thing, right? And then afterwards it's more like it's okay, well, here's the transformation, what do you do now? And everyone shows up and it's okay, well, I remember, I think Simon Dutton was the first person that we had on that was always big on, okay, how do we improve the longevity product? Because we just don't have that right now. We're known as the 12-week guys. I mean, before I started at UP, I thought people only came for 12 weeks. I was like, people will show for 12 weeks and they'll go. I will never have them again. And that's genuinely what I thought. Like, it sounds dumb to think it now from a business retention standpoint. But yeah, I felt like they had that reputation.
Yeah, it felt like it as well. I mean, like, I was somebody who, I've never worked for them, but that was like body transformation, UP, 12 weeks. That's what anybody who I knew thought, and anybody I was working with thought that's what it was about, basically. It's just, it's a 12-week body transformation program. That's it.
I didn't even used to know where the 12 weeks was coming from. But it's probably just that in like old school bodybuilding, their like prep phase used to last 12 weeks, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Training camps for like MMA fighters, 10 to 12 weeks. Everything's just like 12 weeks. We're 12 weeks out from being ready for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I feel like Poliquin, he cites Arnold Schwarzenegger quite a lot when it comes to like some of his training methodology sometimes, especially when it comes to like supersets and like pairing body parts sometimes. And I feel like if that might have started around there. I haven't read it, but I feel like if Arnold would have said like a normal run into a contest would have been 12 weeks, like David, like similar to what you just said there. I feel like that would have worked its way in and seeped into the methodologies a little bit. Yeah, I quite like that. I quite like that the roots of these things are also in like just old school bodybuilding. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun. I was gonna say earlier, like, do you remember trying a Poliquin workout and like sticking to it for a long period of time?
Into which one?
Do you remember any particular Poliquin workout and sticking to it for a long period of time?
I only know that there was a session where I used to train only arms, and like 6 exercises, bicep, 6 for tricep.
Wow.
So it used to be fun.
I know that workout because I did the same one, dude. I did the same one.
Probably the exact same one. Yeah.
The second mesocycle where you're doing sets of 2 for preacher curls, and it's like it's like 8 sets of 2 on your 95% max on preacher curls. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Same thing for dips, and then it goes back into volume and intensification. I feel like that's such a, like you said, because of the framework it provides. It's so much fun as a trainer to just get hold of a new program and be like, let's go crazy on this now. See how long I last before my joints fall to pieces.
I can just imagine this, the two of you is just like just these ginormous arms, right? And then just everything is just after you finish that workout, just like this slimline body, and these arms are just twice as wide as your waist.
You try to, after the workout, try to Google quadra-carb and see how do you get this in the UK. Like, Poliquin keeps talking about this amazing carb formula. I don't know how to do it. Oh, man, he was a good salesman as well. It was interesting stuff. Anyway, David, going on to the rest of PT. So you work at UP, you have that experience from there. Where does it then take you, and where are you now with that side of things?
So we went freelance, and I don't want to sound harsh, but those things, I learned a lot of things at UP that I'm obviously still using to these days, but a lot of things I'm now trying to unlearn.
Right. So.
Because I feel like UP was made for the masses, both in terms of clientele and for trainers as well. So they don't individualize enough, and mainly because you have to teach the system somehow, right? So it has to be uniform towards the trainers as well. So I'm not trying to learn how to individualize more on every aspect of it. Try to learn how to prioritize health more rather than just the before after picture.
Yeah.
The before after is easy actually. You just have to convince someone to not eat, basically. And genuinely. But optimizing their health and actually getting them stronger in the gym, getting them not to hate life during the whole process as well. That's different. And that's what the before after pictures don't tell you about, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's some interesting thoughts around that. It's like, well, first of all, it's like, how did you arrive at that conclusion that, okay, we're working with people for a certain period of time, but it's actually not providing them sustainable results? Like, how did you ultimately arrive at that, and then like decide what actually needs to be done and how you're going to go about doing it?
Well, the whole thing came from me like trying to be more of a teacher rather than a trainer. So if my client comes back fat, then I failed as a teacher, right? Because I didn't give them the tools to stay lean.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's the biggest failure that you can have as a trainer. Because that just proves that your systems weren't sustainable. The knowledge that you gave the client wasn't deep enough.
Yep.
And that's what it is.
That's interesting because you got to really break down, like you talked about at UP. It was almost like the result was everything. The experience was always talked about, right? Like other clients getting an experience, but is that experience preceding deeper levels of understanding, which are actually going to see us through much further? And I think it's always kind of finding that I felt like at UP they may have heavily weighted the experience over the education. And it's, for me, as I think David, you're the same, or all of us in the same in this chat, about like the education is the experience. You know what I mean? Like that's the real thing we should have been chasing all along. You know what I mean? It's like there's only so many drop sets and so many prowler runs you can do with someone before it's like, guys, come on now, this is a bit redundant. Like we're gonna just kill this person who's been sitting in an office chair for the last 15 years, and now they're gonna just go all out until their legs turn to jelly. I mean, we've seen that too many times. But really, that person now leaves feeling like their butt is like on fire and that their whole body is like burnt out, but they don't know anything. You know, they just know that they've been trashed. It's like, where does that take them apart from to feeling worse? You know what I mean? Because they're not armed with the education, like you said.
And the before afters are always taken of the survivors, right?
Yeah. So that's interesting. So that's interesting. So like, what's the drop off rate for somebody starting a program and then actually finishing it in that kind of intensity?
Yeah, this is where the whole system backfires, I think, because everyone's just being pushed for the fast result as opposed to individualizing, and some people just simply cannot take the prowler runs. right? You cannot get a picture transformation out of them. They can progress in different aspects, but that's not what you get rated on necessarily, right?
Then there's a problem there, because like you said, I remember having this chat. We can get into this kind of deeper, but I mean, having this chat openly within management and within everything else, and just saying, look, we're chasing the wrong thing here. You know, I mean, I know the business is kind of the way the business is, but the game's going to be up soon, because not recognizing individual client abilities as well as individual trainer abilities, I feel like is we're missing a buck here, because there'll be trainers like yourself who will be able to get clients to adhere to a meal plan, but then maybe okay, pushing them on the gym floor might be slightly different. Okay, so we'll work on that. But we still have to congratulate where it's going really, really well. And I feel like that was always seen as a downside, where it's like, okay, are you giving the experience? Are you giving the experience? Are you giving the experience? It's like, but is that even a thing to lord over everything else? And yeah, that's where, like you said, it starts to backfire.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's interesting. So go on, G.
What would you guys say to the pros and cons of that model, that 12, let's call it the 12-week transformation model, versus sustainable results? Like, there is a place for it. Where do you think that place is, though, compared to where it actually gets put in your experience that you've seen?
Go ahead.
I feel like you have to just experiment in the beginning, and some people can do the fast transformation and can sustain it, but it highly depends on their background, what they start with. Obviously, the more you have to lose, the longer it's going to take, and the more the likelihood of a rebound is when you have to lose more, right? As opposed to just losing 6 kilos, whatever, and then you just crack on with your life.
That's a good point. A good point. I think it's sometimes now, I think as coaches, we're all much more adept than where we were, especially when David and I, when we met. And it's, you can read a client really well. And sometimes you can look at a person and just now, like, one of the things I'll do with clients is like a stress evaluation, and be like, okay, are you actually at a place where we can put more stress on your body? Because this is going to be more stress in whatever ways it is. Controlling food sometimes slightly at caloric deficit, that's a perceived stress. We're going to try and alter your schedule to some degree. That's at the start going to be a perceived stress. I'm going to tell you to breathe differently. You'll be like, what the no? Like, I draw the line here. You know what I mean? Like, where do you jump in? Because there's all these things that we can actually start manipulating, but are you ready for that? You know, I mean, I was having a really good chat with Bilal this morning, and that was one of the things he was saying, is that at the start, it's a case of just starting. You know, let's just start walking in one direction, because anything in this direction is going to be better than you be walking in that direction for the last 20 years. And we've got to start calling you back now, you know, because that's you just can't keep going that way. But if you overload somebody with sometimes what we were doing over there, which we talked about, and I had a chat with JP. You never met JP, did you, David? JP Cronin. No? Okay. I had a chat with JP this week, and he was even agreeing to the point where, like, it's sometimes, it was definitely too much on the training side of things, and not enough on the let's look at the client in front of us, because that's the important thing. That's the thing we're trying to move forward. You know what I mean? That's it's almost like a teacher. Like, you use the teacher analogy. I love that analogy, because say you're in a classroom full of 30 kids. The difficult thing about being a teacher is that you have to almost individualize your approach and generalize some things, because they'll have to learn the syllabus, but there'll be some kids that can do it, and some kids that just have a difficult home life, and you have to adapt it from there. Some kids that don't like to eat their greens, and you have to adapt it there. You can't just be like forcing it down their faces, otherwise you end up like kindergarten cop and screaming that there is no bathroom, right? So it's not good.
There are no bathrooms.
Yeah, man. No, that's true.
And it's crazy that sometimes you have to, like, approach it with the same patience as well as if you were handling children. It can be tricky, because the people that signed up for UP, they are top of the food chain, right? But sometimes,
Go on.
Sometimes you really have to be patient with explaining them all these things, trying to refine their approach, because even though they're high up there, they know what they should be doing. They won't necessarily do it if you don't present it right.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's interesting because it's like did we say off air or did we say on air that you were saying that these people have worked in the city and they've kind of pushed themselves to this level, but they're almost coming to us because there's a big deficit that we need to then plug in, and it's like you said, David, like you've got to come in and offer the most agreeable solution there and then for them to just jump on the train and start moving in the right direction. Yeah.
That can be hard because they see your transformations, they see UP's transformations, they come there for the 12-week result, and you tell them instead to start sleeping and to just do a few more steps, eat more greens. That's not what they're there for, right? They're there for the hardcore training and the 10-week abs.
Yeah, that's it. I distinctly remember being at UP and then being like, okay, for the first X amount of time, first crop of clients, I'm going to be UP. I use the expression, I'll leave my bags at the door. I'm not going to try and influence this. I'm going to just let you guys take the wheel, and I'm going to be a driver. Okay, so I was the biggest slave driver ever. Like, you remember me? Like I was bought to do that, right? I was bought to Mayfair to be like, everybody needs to kick up their ass or something, and this guy will do it, right? So fine, whatever, I'll do that. If you need me to be the cheerleader, I'll be the cheerleader, right? But I always remember Nick Daniel stood out in my mind. Nick Daniel and to some extent Simon as well, because they were the only one. They were the ones on the gym floor that I'd look at and be like, then their clients are not puking. Their clients are not kind of dragging their heels. And Nick always stood out because he'd just be, his client would generally look happier as they went through the process, whereas every else's client would just go and just fall off a cliff and kind of drag themselves in, like you said, the survivors. And it just shows because the product they're providing right now is so much more in line with what the world needs, I think.
And I also think these days that we knew how to get a result back then at UP. Now we know how to get a result, but our responsibility is not getting the result, but how much damage we do, as opposed to improving, like either damaging them or improving them during that time frame that you get to the result, right? Because we used to do a lot of damage at UP. I definitely used to do.
Yeah, same, 100%. That's really interesting. Really, it's definitely an important thing to be aware of as you go through your PT. I think in any profession, right? You don't want to be a doctor who's prescribing bad medicine. And now if we know there's better medicine out there, it's a case of, okay, learn the full context behind it. Like Shallow says it in his course, like words matter. And the nuances of this exercise versus that breathing pattern versus this stance versus that progression, it's all there for a reason, right? This is why we're upskilling and going forward with that. You talking about Shallows, both of you have just graduated, yeah?
Graduate pre-script level 1.
Love it.
Yeah,
both. You got your certificates and everything?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Through. Yeah.
Nice.
Floored that stuff.
I saw David's little woohoo. typical
David.
I
did see. I did see that. I saw that on Shallow's. On his Insta story. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that was David.
Yeah, man. Yeah. What were both your takeaways from the course? How did you find it?
Yeah. Tell us what you think first, David.
Yeah. First of all, Jordan just needs to get a referral system for Umar, because he makes so much money off Umar. It was nice.
We'll send him this.
Yeah.
Man, I love the damn course, man. I'll be like, oh, my friends, please go do it. It'll better your life. You'll love it too.
Not even friends. Your mom, everyone.
Yeah.
Send everyone there, man. Send it everyone. Yeah. I love it. It was a good experience for me. That was one of those, like, I think somebody, Jordan shared their reaction to the finishing the course, and it was that they were sat there like with a blank look on their face after week 1 or something, with a notepad full of notes, and that's exactly how I was. I was like, no way, like this someone did it, someone like figured it out, and I was just like, this is. I remember finishing every lecture just with like I need to tell somebody about this shit. Like all you guys
Yeah.
gotta hear about it. I just spread the word. So yeah, now that you guys have both done it, what's the review?
The first few weeks were, I feel like they were the deep end,
Right.
as opposed to the finish of the course where it was more RTS-y, I would say. So like the individual like biomechanics of different muscle groups, as opposed to like approaching the whole system and the mobility part of it,
RTS being resistance training systems.
Yeah.
specialists, yeah.
Specialist.
Specialists.
Oh,
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, that was that I had to learn more about the mobility, and I still don't. I have to admit, I still don't understand it 100%. Mainly because I just don't even know about many of these drills. So while Jordan was talking about it, I had to look up what like thread the needle is and stuff like that, and a lot of these that I haven't really heard about before, because Poliquin never talked about thread the needle.
Yeah.
You're right.
Poliquin didn't say it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what
cool,
about
cool.
what about after the first few weeks, David? How did you kind of the application of the course, and we've had a little chat about applying it to clients now. Where's your thought process around that?
But yeah, I chat a lot to you about it, and I'm seeing more things. I just have to figure out how to get them sorted. So that's the first step, seeing them, because so far I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
I found that it started to pull at my programming without me like being too aware of how to structure a week, a phase, a month, a like a 12-week. And I've always thought that you can't. I've always looked at natural periodization and been like, how can you tell me what's going to happen in 12 weeks? I don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday. Like it doesn't. We can loosely take it somewhere. Like I want to be stronger. I want to be powerful by then, and I can take my training forward with the like the leveling up along the way, right? But I feel like what it's done for me is it's totally changed how I do the right now. And then that, if I stand on that, then I can go to the next phase. If I stand on that and do that right, I can slowly kind of move forward. So it's definitely shaking it all up a little bit. I find it interesting. Have you found the same thing?
With planning, not necessarily. I feel like you can plan more the less jump up the client is, right?
Yeah,
Because
okay.
you can lay down the whole plan. But if they decide to go on a random holiday and then they get ill and whatever, the whole thing just gets delayed.
Yeah. I mean,
as opposed to less jump up clients who you can actually plan ahead for like a year with.
Fair enough. What about yourself, G?
Yeah, man, it was great. It was because like for me I've got more of that rehab and functional training background as well. Like it was like that first half for me wasn't too bad, but it was good to get those different perspectives because he's a chiropractor / powerlifter as well. You know, it's a rare combination. Like I don't really see that, and also fucking stacked. So it's like just that combination is like, okay, that's somebody I want to learn from, because this is the next stage for me. I want to understand about resistance training systems and profiles and strength curves and all that kind of stuff. And so the first half for me, it was like, okay, I can hang with this. This is cool. And then when it was the second half, that was the stuff that was a little bit more thought provoking for me as well. Just understanding the place for isolation training and making sure we incorporate function action, depending on the goal that you're achieving. But the thing that really stood out for me was matching the strength curve with the resistance profiles. That was super important. It's like, okay, well, you can't just hit every muscle. You can't hit even just one specific muscle efficiently with one movement. You need to actually break it down into several movements to be able to get, in terms of like hypertrophy, get more of a response from that, and then in terms of strength training as well. So it just got me. For me, it was really useful for me to think about that kind of thing and programming on that front, and I really liked what you said about just basically, indexing exercises, just having it in your head is like this, and this. Once we've done that, we move on and we go here, here, and here.
Mm.
And yeah, I just like the logic. I like the thought that's gone behind it, the thought pattern into it. Because he's very verbose as well, but he's very very good at being logical and communicating the point, which is rare to find. So I really resonate with a lot of what was being said basically, and because I had that grounding in the functional side of things, with the rehab side of things, with the mobility and stability side of things, and it was mostly, all right, I want to understand how to apply strength a lot more, and that was the stuff which was really really getting me going. And yeah, so it's super good, man, super useful for that. I like that it's called prescript, because it's just basically this is what you need. This is what the script that you should follow to be a coach. This is how you want to be a coach. You want to have this programming down, but you also want to understand that there's an individual in front of you, and you want to understand their body and their process, as opposed to here's a program, just do that, because that's not how it works, as we've just talked about.
Yeah, it definitely gives you the tools to individualize and kind of like he says about ruling things in and ruling things out, qualitative and quantitative assessments, right? And having that criteria, I think you can put that across the entire board. We talked about like stress management, and whether, okay, well, do you qualify for more stress? Well, no, it's okay. That rules things out. And the same thing for like, okay, do you qualify to even move your arm over your head? Well, you don't, but we need to, like he says, bake it into the program and whatever. It's a fun kind of. If I got to UP and they were teaching that, I think I would still be there now. That's I can possibly say that. But funnily enough, that's what I recommended to them, and that's what they're doing now. So I had to sneak that in. So. Got that one back. Anyway,
Innovator Brown, not just mentor Brown.
yeah, Mystic Mac Brown. I told you. Yeah. anyways, yeah. That's it's fun. But then David goes ahead and signs up to what's it called, David? What did you sign up for recently? Rethinking the big patterns.
Yes.
Yeah, with
right.
Pat Davidson.
Okay.
Yeah, so Pat. When I did Prescript the semester before you guys, Jordan mentioned a guy called Pat Davidson, and that obviously, like you said about Poliquin, they trust these guys. Okay, I'm going to go and research these guys too, and leads us to his page, and he's talking about his stuff, and he's squatting like crazily with nothing but knee flexion and hips like right above his ankles. He's talking about breathing and ventilation, and what the hell, I've got to learn all this stuff too. So I think then I told David about him, and then you've gone away and researched it, and then you said, okay, well, I wanna, do you want to split this with me? So we ended up getting the seminar and watching that. So you listen to that, and he doesn't believe in any of the he doesn't believe in stability or mobility as like prerequisites or things you have to check in on. So there's always, like you said, he has a completely different way of looking at it, which is really interesting. So I like this variance. It just leads you back to the same thing as you said earlier, David, which is find somebody that you resonate with and then just stick to them. And if they have other people that kind of branch off, then go and explore. But maybe it's you found your guy. Don't know.
Yeah. So what's that about with so if he's not into like mobility, stability, strength, what's his angle? What's his take on it, things?
So I've not got through a lot of the recordings just yet, but it's more to do with positioning of certain parts of the body and concentric and eccentric orientations, and then how if something is concentrically orientated, it will then cascade to the next thing, and you've almost got to kind of root back to the initial cause and then try to revert the orientation. But sometimes I'm not going to do this any justice because he takes about 15 hours to describe his own thing. I'm going to try and do it in 5 minutes. He talks a little bit about pressure and how pressure plays a role in the body, and how the system is basically a system of pressure. Like can you hold pressure in certain compartments, and the orientation of the muscle will allow or won't allow for that. So improving that the muscles, the local capacity to house pressure or exert pressure. I think he touched on that kind of stuff a little bit as well, which is again totally different take on things. And yeah, he doesn't. So remember, I posted that question in our group G. We have a group about prescript
Yes.
with me, you, and Bilal in. That was, what did I say? I said, how do you measure stability? It actually came from him. It came from him in the seminar, and he was talking about how to actually qualify stability. And his whole thing is that if you can't measure it, I don't want to look at it. I want to just see qualitative results and qualitative things that I can see if I'm getting faster, if I'm moving more weight, if I'm actually having more measurable range of motion, rather than saying, oh, I'm more stable. What does that mean to him? So yeah, different arguments on different sides of the spectrum there.
Right. Yeah, it's like you can, quantifying stability versus qualifying it. In terms of quality, you can see how, hypertonicity, muscle tone, and things like that around a joint. And then if you change that, then it's like, okay, you've probably got better stability, right, in the joint. If you've improved your range of motion, you've improved, you've likely improved, you can improve range of motion by improving flexibility. That doesn't necessarily mean you've got control of that new range of motion, right? But if you have that control, you've improved, you want to improve the mobility on a base of stability. So you need the joint to be stable, and just by stabilizing it, it can improve its range of motion. So there's, so it sounds interesting from, I'll have to get into it. But things you said is already like, okay, it just sounds like it's just what you say. It's a different way of looking at it, but it doesn't sound like it necessarily means that there's, it's just a different language as opposed to a different principle. Is what it seems like. But that'd be interesting. I like hearing how different people kind of quantify and qualify these different things that we're all seeing in the body, because I feel like what ends up happening is they may end up speaking a different language to express that, but I feel that principally the best of the best are usually coming from the same place. And a lot of times it can be a semantics thing. That's what I've found, at least just following lots of different people over the years, is like, functional patterns, for example, like Naudi Aguilar. He just likes rubbing people up the wrong way. But
I like that guy. Me repeat to him so hard. He's so funny.
Exactly. But it's like, a lot of the stuff he's saying, it's just not wrong, but he's just likes being a dick about it, right? And whereas, Ido Portal, in the same sort of way, is going to be, he's talking about expressing movement, but it's coming from a different perspective, but it's the same thing. And then immaculate dissection, neurokinetic therapy, and then the bodybuilding world as well is like the people who are doing it well and the people who are doing it best. There's actually a lot of overlap, and that's what it needs to be seen as is that everybody should be working together to create a better system, as opposed to here's my system, it's the best, like functional patterns do. And it's like, exactly. Whereas it's just always ripping on people who are doing bodybuilding style workouts and training and stuff. But it's like, look, man, there's a place for everything. You just got to know how to do it well, and you got to understand the principle behind it. So why don't you just fucking talk to each other instead of just being dicks to each other, So that's interesting to hear that different perspective from Davidson.
Sure. I see it like everyone's on the same merry-go-round, but we just got on a different horse. It's like, it's fine. We're all going the same way. Everyone's getting better at fitness and health and living, but we're just like all going around like, this is cool. I'm cool being on my horse. We're all doing the same thing. I mean, let's not kind of try and stop the ride or whatever. Say your horse is shit.
Exactly. Because we've come at things from different angles. Like David is talking about, okay, I got a really good education here at UP, but then I've realized that it's more than just that intense transformation. It's about the lifestyle. You came to that conclusion on your own as well, and I'm somebody who's coming from the other end of the spectrum, is trying to learn more of what both of you know, and but I've been about that as well, which is, you know, actually it's about the life as opposed to the just the transformation. It's about more than what it's about what that transformation represents, and can that person sustain it for their life, as opposed to, hey, we're just going to do this, smash it, and this is it. And there's a lot more to it. And yeah, I really like what you said at the beginning as well, David, which was just, you know, if I've not given you the tools to sustain the results, then I failed, because I haven't taught you anything. I've just instructed you for a period of time. And that was, you know, I've started reading Miyamoto Musashi, the Book of Five Rings, and I'm intrigued by it because obviously here's somebody who was a dedicated expert in his field, and it's like 380 years old. It's mad. Like, his writings are from 1643, and one of the things that really rung out is because I'm applying it as well in the program that I teach people. Because it's in the context of martial arts, but you can apply it to anything basically. So it's like, you know, like, people think learning a martial arts degree isn't useful, but basically, if you've learnt it well, it's applicable in all things, and if it's taught well, it is applicable for all time as well. So I've butchered the quote a little bit, but it's just basically, you can see it in all things, and you can do it across time. It doesn't. It's about the discipline, and it's about the principles. It's not just about learning how to fight, and so that's what I try and do with my program, which is, in the worst case scenario, you can still apply the tools and the principles of the program to your own life, and that you can transfer these tools and experiences that you get into everyday life as well, so into other things, and which allow you to sustain the results, but also, if you find any gaps in other endeavors that you have in your life, is like, actually, I learned this thing, maybe I can plug that in here as well. I think that's key to helping people level up.
Interesting, man. I like that. Taking from different sources. David, before we came on, you were talking about atomic habits. I wonder if that ties into what G was talking about there in terms of. Go on, if you think it does.
Yeah. So, atomic habits. James Clear, he talks about how sometimes people get defined by what they do. I'm a CEO. I used to be a classical guitar player, and when I stopped that, or when something particular identity gets taken away from you, you have like a massive identity crisis. And as opposed to this, you should think about yourself in more broader terms. So as opposed to being like a CEO, you could think about yourself as someone who just builds things. And that's going to be harder to be taken away from you, as opposed to just selling a company. You can still be someone that builds things. And I was thinking about this as well, because I do a presentation for my clients every week on Zoom, and it was about atomic habits and a bunch of these environmental, how to engineer your environment, these kind of things. And I was wondering how you could implement these with these obviously highly successful clients that can afford us, whether they could take their identity from their work and implement it into training and nutrition. So for example, when they go out and have like a social meal, it doesn't have to derail their whole progress, because they cannot be like peer pressured into like drinking more or eating more, same as how they cannot be like pressured socially at work. I just like this is like a bit too abstract. I haven't really found a solution to it, but I think there's something there to think about.
Yeah, go for it, man. I like abstract. see where you can turn it concrete.
And the same as how some people just like never quit in their jobs, right? They just succeed whatever it takes, especially the clientele that we deal with. They could implement the same approach, and they can realize that they are someone that doesn't back off or doesn't like run away from challenge. They can implement that when training or when nutrition or the whole process gets more challenging.
Yeah.
Because they're someone who just don't give up.
It's almost like it's a way of life. It's not what you do, it's just your way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that being transferred across the whole thing. I remember Elliot Hassoun, another guy who worked at UP with us, also doing his online thing. He was at City. He left really early on. I think he left before even you joined. He said this thing once where it was like, he took it back to religion. And he was like, if it was your religion, you were that strongly tied to it, to like say, okay, I don't drink alcohol. It's a religious thing. It's obviously a personal choice, but it's, I don't drink alcohol. Yeah. So then I just don't drink alcohol. Like, it's just the way I am. Like, that's my way. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to use willpower now. It ties into what you were saying last week, G, about like kind of non-negotiables. And just having that, I don't use my brain space for this. I don't have to take up mental time thinking of real estate, because it's just not an option for me. It's a similar thing, right? You would just, the decision would be made because of who you are rather than what you do.
Yeah.
That's the other thing Atomic Habits talks about as well, that the more a certain behavior aligns with who you are, the more you're going to keep it up, because the more pride you take in it, and the less it aligns with you, the harder it is to keep up with something. So even if it's a negative thing, because you're known as someone who always arrives late, then it becomes your identity, right? So even if not on a conscious level, you will keep up those habits that result in you being late.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
That's why the first part of Atomic Habits is about how you should first try to change your identity and how you view yourself, and then implementing the things that are going to actually result in that is going to be easier.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to identify with your goals, right? Otherwise, it's so easy, especially in the culture that we have now, where you can see what everyone else is doing at the click of a button. And so you see somebody doing it, like it could be anything. It could be from, traveling across the world. And it's like, oh, their life looks amazing. Or it could be somebody who's in the gym and pushing that prowler sled, and you're just like, oh, they look like they're in shape and they know what they're doing. Maybe I want that too. But you have to really ask yourself that question, like, do I actually want that? And it's very easy to fall down a certain path and certain track just because you see it everywhere else around you and you think, oh yeah, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. But then the struggle is really, really real. And in a lot of ways, when you actually step back from all of that and check in with yourself and be like, hang on, let me just identify what it is that I actually want. Is it coming from a source like deep in my core? Is like, yeah, okay, that is. Then the struggle is something that you're totally willing to bear, because in the words of Nietzsche, is like, a man with a strong why can bear almost anyhow. And because you got that why, because you identify with that goal, you're going to push yourself forward to do it. And it doesn't take away much from you by going for it. That sacrifice doesn't feel like as much of a sacrifice because you identify with it.
And this is why it's really hard to have people who just get pressured to do your training because their partner wants them to get lean, for example.
Yeah.
They're fine, they're happy, but the partner is complaining, but yet they have to do the work. It's hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's tricky. It's like, projecting, right? So, and then they come along, it's like, yeah, I want to lose weight. You ask, really, it's like, you don't look like you care about it. So I'm going to actually have to turn you away because this isn't your goal. This is somebody else's goal. So I come back when you actually want to do it.
And turning them away is hard.
Yeah.
But that's the right decision. There are some people that I should have turned away. Like whenever someone doesn't reach their goal, I always blame myself. But there's really just a few people that you just can't help unless they want to be helped.
Yeah, entirely. And yeah, it really help you level up as well because you got to be quite a lot more objective, right? You got to pull yourself out of that situation and be like, okay, what did I do well? What did I not do so well? With everything that I have in my arsenal, could I help this person? If I knew a little bit better, could I help this person? And if the answer is still no, then like, okay, my soul is clean. It was down to that person, you know.
Yeah, otherwise, if you just take their money anyways without helping them,
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
no
gonna come.
satisfaction.
Yeah, no, bad relationship, bad reputation.
That's it.
100%.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah. What do you think are some of those identifying factors for you yourself, David? Like, was there a time where you didn't think about that much yourself, and now hearing that articulated, do you think there's anything that you personally have developed as a result?
Repeat that one more time, please.
So your learnings from Atomic Habits being like identifying not with the work, but identifying with like virtues almost, right? Like you. So yeah, do you think there's any of those that have developed within you while you've been doing this job, or while you've been kind of just going through life?
I'm not sure I understand still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How much?
I think it's I think it's like, what have you learned from Atomic Habits which has helped you to identify your true goals?
Oh, okay. So one of them.
Was that right, Umar?
I just go back to articulate bro from last week.
Yeah. Yeah,
One of them is that I don't really enjoy training legs, but I always train hard, whatever body parts. So when I do train legs, I train it hard. And that's something I take pride in. So that's something that I will carry on doing, for example.
Beautiful.
These kind of things.
I like it. Facing the adversity.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Okay,
facing your own adversity. Yeah. Okay. I like
Especially
that.
when you don't like it, because that's the thing as well. Is I tend to find like the thing that you don't like is like, okay, I need more of that.
Yeah. You said it to me. You said it to me about this podcast. He said, I'm gonna spill the beans on this. He was like, I'm scared, so let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you need to do. I love that.
Boy.
Yeah.
That's what Raminda did as well when she came.
Oh,
on.
really?
Yeah, when my client Raminda, when she came on, she was like, oh, okay, yeah. When she realized, she felt like, oh, this is kind of scary, she said yes. So it was amazing. I love that as well, because you basically increase the boundaries of comfort by doing that. You step into that, you overstep the boundary into discomfort, and then all of a sudden, once you've done it, you're fine with it, and you're like, okay, yeah, I could do this again. And that's the beautiful thing about doing legs and approaching it like that, is like, if I can do legs and still work hard, everything else is easier, man. Everything else is easier. It makes such a difference.
For sure, man. For sure. I had that moment yesterday. I spent 4 hours driving yesterday, and then finished what I was doing. I drove up to Leeds, finished what I was doing there, came back, and a similar thing. You know when you're just falling asleep at the wheel, you're just like, I'm so tired. But I know if I don't train today, then I don't want to train. I don't have time to train tomorrow, because I want to use tomorrow as a rest day before starting on a Monday. So I have to go like now. And doing front squats, pause front squats after like all of that. And then, do you know what's been happening in my body recently is that I feel like I'm accessing my nervous system in the right way, to the point where it's just trusting me with more and more of range of motion, more and more like accessibility around joints. So like the variability, we'll put it that way, to use a prescript term, around my hips and around my ankles and whatnot, it's just improving. So now it's a psychological thing to be like, okay, I'm using a weight that I've used in the past, but the range of motion was much less. Now I've got so much more range within which I can literally bury myself in, and that's scary. That's not a scary thing, but it's unknown. You know what I mean? It's like I've done 60 kilos more than this, but it's through a range that I've never been to or been comfortable pausing in for 2 seconds. Like that's the mind fuck. But it's the thought I had yesterday was, you almost got to just laugh at that and be like, oh, what the, like I can't get past it unless I actually try to get past it. And if I don't get past it, then I know I'm not there. And that's immediately the thought I had. And I like that same thing happens to me, whether I'm doing like what I did yesterday, or whether I'm sparring, or whether it's anything like that. It's like, oh, this is good. This is me finding out about myself, so I know I can course correct as a result of knowing this stuff, rather than kind of avoiding it and just procrastinating around the issue. I need to know where I'm shit, so I can know, so I know where I need to focus my efforts, because otherwise you just stand there all day like psyching yourself up and not actually doing the leg day or doing the squat.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I love that. Taking your body into the unknown.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. It's the only way. It's the only way that you shine, like to do a Eckhart Tolle quote, right? Like, to shine light into the darkness is to like bring it out, right? It's to bring it forward into the known, right? Like that, it doesn't survive. The darkness doesn't survive if now there's light there, right? And that's what you're doing with just going there and doing it. It's not unknown anymore, so it's not scary anymore. You know, I mean, you can just course correct afterwards.
That's it. So gonna be seeing David doing the podcast circuit now as well, right?
Yeah,
it's not scary anymore.
Yeah, it's back to Home Alone, right?
yeah.
Yeah, man. That's a leg day from now on, David, is a regular thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
every day.
Love it. Where is your training right now? What's now that gyms have back open again? What's training for you? Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, it's shit. I didn't take the previous lockdown too well.
Okay.
I was in a really good place before, and you know when you take a week off and it turns into 4 weeks, that's what happens. And I managed to lose 5.5 kilos in 4 weeks.
Oh shit!
of muscle mass.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
pretty bizarre.
was talking to a coach before, and he was like, some people, they're just so hard to gain that they are on 7,000 calories. They miss one meal, and they lose like 5 kilos. Now I feel like that's me.
That's you. Is that
probably not that bad?
That's something you mentioned, right? Where you're like used to be a skinny guy, and then is that what got you into training?
I still am, yeah, but I used to be way skinnier.
Yeah, okay.
Like when I turned,
you've definitely filled out since I knew you.
Yeah.
When I turned like 40 kilos, I think we threw a massive party with my mom because I was just so skinny my whole life.
Wow.
How old were you? Like getting
I don't even know.
Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy, man.
But everyone else was around 50, 60, I think.
Yeah.
So and I was tall as well, or I am tall. So it just makes it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
Proper hard gainer.
Yeah, man. It's like proper opposite ends of the spectrum. We were looking at some old family pictures the last 2 weeks. My mom's like, "You're 4 months old in this picture." I look at myself. I'm like, I look like a 3-year-old, man. That's ridiculous. that's like, it don't look real. Like, what the hell? What do you mean I'm 4 months old? I have a full head of hair. I have a full head of hair. I look like a developed child.
With a beard.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
Just an absolute unit of a baby.
I suppose if there is a spectrum, right? Poliquin always talked about that. We could be on opposite ends, David. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that like is that what got you into training? Is like, I'm skinny, I want to put on some mass.
Yeah. And then it turned into bodyweight training because my mom let me go to the gym because she was afraid of me getting injured. But I managed to injure myself in every way with bodyweight instead.
Bodyweight stuff's hard sometimes, man. The dexterity.
It's harder to incrementally progress as well, right?
Yes.
And that's what gets you injured.
Yes.
You know, because now you're doing pull-ups with 2 arms. Okay, next week one-handed. And I get to my 1-arm pull-ups, but it cost me a shoulder.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
What's the price? It's like, I want to do this. What's the price? It's a shoulder and probably a torn oblique somewhere as well.
So true. That's we talked a bit about Chris Summer and his like gymnastics bodies program when we were at UP a little bit, didn't we? Yeah. Is that another route you've been down with all that stuff?
Do you guys know a book convict conditioning.
I've heard of jailhouse
No.
strong. That's as close as I'm going to get to convict
Somehow,
conditioning.
They sound like they're written by the same guy.
Yeah, Josh Bryant. I don't know.
somehow that kicked off this whole bodyweight training.
Convict
in-
conditioning.
Yeah, in Hungary.
Love it.
You guys know the Pavel,
Yeah,
the Russian
tattooing.
guy with the kettlebell?
Tatooing.
Yeah.
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 So this comes from the same book publisher, and we don't even know the author's original name, so it might be Pavel himself, actually.
Oh wow.
But it was massively popular in Hungary, and that's when everyone started bodyweight training. Basically,
No way.
it was broken down to 6 movements, I think. Pull up, handstand push up, bridge, push up,
Bridge. Okay.
push up, and 2 more. And it took the progression down to 10 steps for everything. And
Wow.
it finished with step 10 was, for example, one-handed freestanding handstand push-ups. So as I'm the other
What the fuck? guys just watch Rocky Balboa and be like, nah.
Yeah.
This is like week 3.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell?
Oh man. That
Looking
is
back at
unreal.
it was ridiculous. But
I've never heard that in my life. One-handed handstand push-up. Just
But
what?
it's good because
Feels-
it gives you a perspective. So when you're supposed to do one-handed handstand push-up without a wall, then the two-handed is so easy. You're just so it puts other things as more achievable.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we were all competing with my friends on who could do which step.
Yeah.
And then that's how we all ended up with being able to do one-arm pull-ups.
That's
and
how we
stuff
all
like that.
that's how we all dislocated our shoulders.
Exactly.
Love it. Love it. Oh,
Yeah.
man, it's I had that recently with exercise progressions. You do ab wheel rollouts. Yeah, so doing them on your toes is an absolute ball ache, right?
Ooh.
And that's
length, the leverage.
yeah, and I got like albatross arms, right? Like this shit just
Yeah.
all the way out there. And then my torso is really long as well. And I think I carry more of my weight in my hips and my legs than anything else. So getting them involved in the exercise, and my arms just like, what are you playing at, man? Give up. Like this ain't happening anytime soon. But I'm currently feeling that, feeling the attempts of doing just eccentrically loading it for now, just slowly getting there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I got to break that down into a 10-step process too.
Yeah. Do it one-handed, one toe.
I remember Dom at UP. Do you ever train with Dom, David?
Who's done?
Dominic, what was his surname? The guy at City, no? He did a lot of bodyweight stuff.
Was he Polish?
I think so.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he did a lot of bodyweight stuff, and I remember he could do like he had these little like skateboard things that he would do. He would do a rollout on his toes, and then just like do one arm in and one arm out and stuff. And that. Now thinking back, the guy was brutally strong, but yeah, and he could crazy dexterity and stuff as well. So yeah, can be done, right? Can be done. Need someone to push the boat out all the way.
Convict conditioning, baby. Everybody, pick it up.
Get on it. Let's get lockdown 3. We all know what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the nation traded, David. That's just super random. Yeah, man.
That's what I was doing though as well during lockdown. I was just calling my like workouts. I was just calling them jailhouse workouts. I was like JHWs or jail cell workouts. Sorry, JCWs is what I was calling them.
That's a while. Have you either you read Josh Bryant's book, Jailhouse Conditioning?
No.
No, it's not called Jailhouse Conditioning. I'm borrowing your name now. Jailhouse Strong. That's the one where it's just predicated on being strong with what you have in prison.
That's the whole idea of convict conditioning. Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I like it.
I bet.
That's just you have nothing. You just have a bed and you have a toilet. That's it.
I'm happy I didn't have to do like toilet push-ups or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can also see where the
Dunk
genesis of like not training legs came, because you said these exercises: pull-ups, push-ups,
Oh yes,
handstand push-ups, bridge.
That's the other reason I don't have legs. I feel like, I'm not sure what you guys find about this, that whatever you get strong or big, when you're like 16 to 18 is easier to grow later in life.
Right.
So I always used to do a lot of dips and push-ups, and I have massive boobs, but pretty much nothing else.
Yeah.
And my friends who used to do a lot of squats, they have legs and nothing else. And it's much harder to catch up with these later in life. And that's I think one of the reasons why I have like super skinny legs, because the convict conditioning only went to one like pistol squats, right?
Oh shit!
And that was too easy, so I could do that. There was nowhere to progress, so I had to focus on my one-handed freestanding handstand push-ups, right?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Pistol
I do
squats
agree with that.
Too easy.
Yeah, man, that's crazy strong.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're 35 kilos, it's all good.
That makes it easier.
It's all relative, man. It's all relative.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with what you trained when you were younger. It's definitely easier now. But my dad bought me a pair of 22.5 kilo dumbbells as my first weight set. That was it. They were just fixed at 22.5 kilos. And I was looking. I remember being like so happy that I actually had weights. This is at the age of like 16, and only thing I could do with it was shrugs. So I was like, I'm gonna go to my room, and I'm just gonna stand there until my ears can. There's no space between my shoulder and my ear. There's just this cliff in between here, and that was it. Then I slowly learned how to do bicep curls with them, and just slowly like cheat curl the hell out of them. And now I never need to train traps or biceps. It's all good.
How old were you when you got the dumbbells?
16.
Oh.
16. Yeah. But I definitely think at that age, I was talking to a friend about this. Having not a friend, sorry, a client. He's very tall. Johannes, do you remember Johannes? We did a call with him about his back. He's super tall. He's like, I think he's as tall as you are, David. He's like 5'6", and sorry, 6'5".
That's better.
Hang on a second. Are you taking the piss? It's like, he's super tall.
Super tall for a hobbit. He's just a giant hobbit. Yeah. Anyway, he's a big guy, and his torso is just incredibly long. And he would tell me that like as a kid, he'd always struggled with certain things, and it got me thinking about like developing a curriculum around children and how they could and should be training depending on their morphology, because no one's ever going to talk about that kind of stuff. I don't see much of it being developed, and I think it's such an interesting thing, because all three of us here are so different in our makeup. But like, for instance, if somebody told me about shoulder stability when I was younger, I think it would have changed the game for me in terms of how the next 7-8 years of my progression like led on from there. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
that's my secret dream actually, because I feel like there's 3 things that would be highly important that schools don't teach you. 1, how to be healthy and big. 2, finance. 3, social skills.
Yeah.
And that's my secret dream, because a lot of people, if you just lay down these foundations at a young age, right, both with eating and with training, you can prevent so many things going wrong.
Yep. We got to chat off air, David. That's it. We're coming at you. We're coming at you, people. There's there's
school
legit
program.
Yeah, that's it. I've got some framework developing already. We've never even talked about this, but that's it just shows Joe's like minds.
Exactly.
You have an 11-year-old client, right?
No, he's 13. 13? No, is he 11? I can't remember. How old is Felix? Felix is no, he's 12. 13. He's 12. He's 12. Okay. Yeah, he's 12. Yeah, but then I've got Eamon as well. Eamon is 14, and he's they're both on it, man. They're both so on it, and it's I like it. I like thinking back to, I think I would have been that kid in school who was just happy to have his broccoli and chicken, and just like slamming it back in middle of break time, because he's got goals.
You're built different, bro.
Just try it, man. Try it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's true, man. It's like, well, for kids, nutrition habits get set like surprisingly early. This is the thing. I think it's somewhere between, like, it could even be set as early as 3 to 4 years old, like how you approach your nutrition. But definitely by the age of 7, like your ideas of, your habits around what you eat is pretty much set by then, which is pretty nuts to think about. So there's like, so there's, when it comes to nutrition, there's a lot of things that we're trying to undo for clients, or trying to help them undo so that they can develop better habits around it. So if you can sort that out early on, there's a lot less need for us to have to deal with that kind of shit. And so yeah, like for kids, just like proper education around. Well, it's like, essentially it's actually teaching parents so that they can teach their kids, is proper education around like just making sure that they're moving. It doesn't matter how they move in the beginning. It's just as long as they're being stimulated and moving, and getting the nutrition on point as well, by just essentially developing the right habit and developing the ability to make a good choice, is in the face of all the millions of choices that you actually do have in front of you.
That's the one. I remember being a kid and being so overwhelmed with like different choices, like you said. I think that's quieting the noise down. And I told you about like getting Eamon to read The Power of Now, and kind of helping him kind of slowly dissect it, and just having conversations with him around it is something that he's slowly learning to see that, okay, me being aware is so much more important than everything else right now. Like me slowly just recognizing when I'm not in the room and when I'm kind of floating around, that's going to be the problem, because when you get in the ring, you have to be in the room. Like you can't miss a trick, otherwise it's going to be very dangerous for you. So us practicing it now, but like you said, putting it across the board, it's just more reps. And linking it back to what David said about, if you train pecs all the time when you were little, you're going to have big pecs now. So if you train your awareness when you're 6, you're going to have a lot of awareness. Like that's it's totally legit. Totally legit.
You get the foundations for everything at that age, literally everything.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You talked about like social skills as well. I can definitely vouch. We talked about the podcast, bro. I had to read a book on how to talk to people, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say? Like, because you came over, David, with you said bad English and that kind of stuff, right? So that was definitely a hurdle for you.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily bad. It was very, very good for someone coming from Hungary, especially of my age. But in this country, everyone has their own accent. No offense, but literally every person has their own individual accent, and I just couldn't deal with it. Alex, I still don't understand half of what he says.
He's not even that northern. He's northern, but he's not mad northern. He doesn't have a proper.
He's mad northern.
No, he's not.
With a super deep voice as well.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
But I guess it's also tricky, because when you come to London, there's loads of different accents, and like a lot of them aren't actually even from England.
So I can deal with all of them apart from British.
Yeah.
Anything else, I'm fine. Australia, Canada, US, all the foreigners here. British, no.
No way, that's brilliant.
So
now I finally understand you guys, but before it was challenging.
That's hilarious, man. But it is bizarre to think, isn't it? How you could be a couple of miles away and you just talk different. Why? Like, that's so bizarre. It's so deep rooted. Yeah, man. Yeah, makes no sense. I don't know. We're gonna look into the science behind that. But maybe Mr. Huberman,
dialects, right?
Mr. Huberman's got some knowledge for us to drop on that G.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's going to be just how it develops in different regions as well. Because I think there's like historically there's just like lots of pockets of places as opposed to just big areas which spoke the same. So yeah, I think in India you got like 8,000 different dialects, which is insane if you think about it. It's like you got the language, and then you got the way they speak the language, and obviously it's a big country with like 1.3 billion people, but they got thousands different ways of actually speaking these languages and little offshoots of it as well. It's pretty nuts, man. That's pretty crazy.
That's the question I wanted to ask you, David, is so Gurinder obviously has this further study in things like immaculate dissection. He talks about all the time. He brought my awareness to Dr. Huberman and a load of other people. Where do you think even if it's not fitness related, where do you go to for your other like further study, or just interest in general?
What counts? What qualifies as further?
I like the guise of like self-development, personal, keeping it kind of podcast related. What do you think in that, guys? Is there anything there?
I don't listen to podcasts. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Well, no, it doesn't need to be podcasts. It could be like,
Yeah.
could be other books around like personal development, or even just different ways of thinking. Like you talk about atomic habits, anything in that regard.
Okay. I like these people in finance, to be honest, that quit finance. Do you guys know Nassim Taleb?
Yeah.
Black Swan. Who's the guy? Navar Ravikant.
Yeah.
No.
Do you guys know him?
Yeah.
I find it weird that Jordan Shallows, for example, has a lot of like abstract captions to his pictures, right? That have nothing to do with the picture or training, or not like closely related to training. But often these are ideas that these guys talk a lot about.
Yeah.
And again, not everything, very few things can be applied to training from here. But I don't know. I'm just interested in a bunch of different things, even if they cannot be applied to training.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. I mean, like, you take good principle thinking and you can apply it across the board.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you were talking about. That it's the thinking framework that you implement into training.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's important. Actually, yeah, because we were talking about it off air as well, about you being a guitarist and, like playing and actually competing as a guitarist as well, and teaching other people so it's classical guitar is what you're teaching. Yeah, so it's like you obviously you got yourself up to a standard, pretty high standard with that, and so a thing that I'm very curious about is making people aware about how they can take expertise in one field and actually apply the principles of what they got good at there, and take it into a new endeavor, because I think it's actually more common than not for people to not be just to not realize that the principles that got them good at one thing is actually going to get them good at another thing. It's like we deal with clients who are extremely successful in, say, a particular realm. It could be finance, but especially us being people who've dealt with clients who come from the city, there's a particular type of person there as well. And like you said, like, top alpha type people. And so they're excellent at that, but then obviously they need a lot of help when it comes to health and fitness and wellness and stuff. And there's a knowledge gap, but then there's also a barrier to actually applying the principles of what got them good there and taking it into health and fitness. And I think that happens a lot. And I was wondering if you had any kind of like tangible experience with that, where you were like, okay, whatever got me good at classical guitar, I can use that and apply that to getting good at health and fitness. Is like, were there any things that you went through on your journey in your practice with guitar that actually helped you in health and fitness? Yeah,
so just for a bit of background, I did classical guitar for 10, 12 years maybe. And I was in the top 15 of my age in the country.
Wow.
And what I would say is going to sound cliche, but the two things that can be applied more broadly that I learned, one is just put in the work. Like, it couldn't be any more cliche than this, because I used to not like it at all. Classical guitar, I wanted to play the drums. My mom had other ideas, so I played the guitar.
Right.
and I didn't used to like it, and I had to practice. So when I started being really good at it, obviously after that I loved it, where it defined me at school, at the music school, when I went to contests and people recognized me as the guy from YouTube. Now that's when you start loving playing, and it's the same with everything else as well. You're gonna suck in the beginning, and when you get good at it, you're gonna love it, and it's going to define you. And I also think this is one of the best things that you can give to any clients. Some clients come to me having nothing to do with training, and leave with having like a new happy place. a new distraction, a new hobby. They define themselves as someone that's actually competent in the topic now, someone strong, someone lean, and I think that's the biggest takeaway they can get from having a coach.
I like that, man. That's really, really powerful.
And the other thing, yeah?
Go on.
The other thing maybe that I learned is just like don't be scared to stand out and break some rules. And the main lesson there was once I was in the same contest group with people that I knew, because in a small country you always know the best guitarists, and I knew that all of them were like 5-6 years older than I was, and all of them were way better than me, and I had to compete against them. We were in the same group, and the requirement was playing a certain piece and then playing another guitar piece that you could pick freely. And I decided not to pick a classical guitar piece, but a fingerstyle. I'm not sure if you know Andy Mackey and these kind of people just doing crazy shit on the guitar, all kinds of rhythmic stuff. And I decided to play one of those because I was either going to be last or band or first, right? And if I didn't pick something like that, I would have been just last. So I did that. The judge were like contemplating whether to ban me or not, and then they just ended up giving me the first prize and then the main prize for the competition as well.
Oh shit!
Wow.
And all my friends that I competed against ended up hating me massively. And then they were even contemplating like making a new group, like a new discipline in the contest for like those kind of guitar pieces.
Yeah, wow.
That's
awesome, man. Change the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you have to compete at what you're good at, right?
Change the game. Yeah, man. You gotta like you're bouncing the ball. I'm gonna pick it up and run with it. Like that's that's I love that, man. That's so cool. We've never talked about that story. That's a really fun one.
That's awesome. That is such a good story. Because
that's a movie right there. That's legit a movie. I can see it. Showing up with your mom, being like, "Did you practice? Yeah, practice. Fuck it. Throw the script out. I'm gonna go my own way. Watch this."
Yeah, that's it. That's cool, man. It's like, yeah, because it's something I've been contemplating as well. Is the idea that you can only start to break the rules once you actually have the fundamentals down. Is you can't just show up to something and be like, "Yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna do it differently." It's like, well, you don't know what you're doing differently. First off, it's like you could hear an idea, and just think, oh, I don't like the sound of that. I'm going to try something else. But it's like, well, actually, you don't really understand it to begin with. You don't have any grounding in it. But then you did that. You got the fundamentals. You got the basics, and you're like, all right, well, actually, I'm going to play with this now. I'm gonna have fun with this. I'm going to circle break the rules, and that's when it's fruitful to break the rules. I think it seems, I think that's something. Been trying to figure out is like you can't just be somebody who goes in. It's like I'm going to shake stuff up and not know what the actual fundamentals are of the thing that you're trying to shake up. So you got to understand it first and then be able to shake it up.
That's what it feels like leaving UP, I think. No, we got really hard rules, and now we're kind of shaking it up, learning from here, taking it from there. You know, the Bruce Lee way. What did he say? Absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. In the context of like martial arts as well, that fits so well because you can't. One thing that I was taught, TJ taught me this so well early doors, was that you're long. He would say to me, "You're long. You've got long arms, so be long. Like don't worry about trying to be inside and trying to bob and weave, and because it's not you yet.
Compete at what you're good at. Right?
Yeah. Like come in at your level and learn that framework first, and then off of that, it's like, okay, I can go back to that because I know that basis is there. It's not going to betray me because I've done the reps. I've done some reps in it at least. My awareness is there. And like you said, if you do that at the very start of your journey, it's going to stay with you forever. Like the big boobs thing, right? Like they're not going to go anywhere, right? But it's a case of, okay, well, we can go and take our attention to growing big quads too, and I can learn how to move differently and throw a head kick now and then. And be like, oh, okay, this is all evolution. And then I find the physical way of doing that so enjoyable, because it's breaking the rules in terms of, oh, why can't I do this and then go this way again? Like, oh, you're supposed to weave and come back. It's like, no, I want to weave and I want to stay here and I want to switch stances and I want to step in and step out and I want to change levels and I want to go for a takedown from this side. It's it's so much fun to mix things up, man. That's an inspiring story, David.
Yeah, love that.
Definitely, yeah, man. Yeah. What don't know how to ask this question.
Spit it.
Yeah. I'm trying to piece together better than I piece together other questions.
And there were a bunch of other things as well, where I just took the lead, and then people just ended up following basically the same way. Like, you know how the guitar has a long neck, and then for orientation you have dots on it, so you know which fret you're in.
Okay.
And then when I got a new guitar, I decided not to put those dots on it, because by then I could play like without them. And then some crazy teacher in I shouldn't say crazy, I should be more respectful. One of the teachers at the music school decided to wipe all the dots off every guitar.
Oh,
and no one could play anymore.
Oh, no way.
There was one person apart from me.
Shit.
And then it was the same with YouTube videos. Everyone was like, yeah, what are you doing this for? And then everyone started doing their YouTube videos when I got some views on that. So just don't be afraid to stand out.
No, Maverick.
Yeah.
That's it. Change the name, bro. Not Newbie.
Yeah.
You're not Newbie.
Yeah, exactly.
Maverick Brown. That's the one.
Maverick.
Man. That's the one.
Maverick Mirza.
Yeah. There we go. That's so cool, man. But 100%. That's so funny that you took the They took the stabilizers off with the dots, and everyone just fell down. It's like,
exactly.
You guys didn't know nothing.
Yeah, that's it. That's what cracks me up about it. Is again, it goes back to also, having the necessary tools to succeed as well. Is like, if you're not teaching somebody the tools to actually sustain the results that they're getting, then when you take the stabilizers off, they got nothing. It's like you might wobble a little bit and then carry on, but that's fine. But then if you're taking the stabilizers off and you're like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Yeah. that's a big problem. I love that as well. It's like, because when I was a kid, I played guitar as well, so I remember the dots. I remember everything about that. So it's so interesting to think that they just get taken away, and then people don't know what fret they're on, and they don't know, like, they're hitting the wrong notes and they're hitting the wrong chords or whatever. That cracks me up. That's pretty funny.
I suppose that's what happens when you really know what you're doing, right? Because just by the length of the neck where you are, and then that denotes what note you're going to get, right? I assume. Yeah,
you just do it so many times that you can play like without looking.
Yeah, and that's only comes through a deeper level of awareness in the moment, right? So like
a shit-tonne of hours.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like everyone's practicing, but you're really practicing. You're in, you know what I mean? Like, you're looking at it from different. You're looking at it with a different eye, rather than just kind of like showing up to just make up the numbers. You're like, no, I'm gonna change the game here. That's cool, man.
Yeah, I think there was a quote I posted recently under one of my posts. It said, it's from like a violin player, something like, I've been practicing 16 hours a day for 25 years, and now they just call me talented, something like that. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not talent.
Yeah, it's this work, man. There's another one, I can't remember the name of the musician. That's going to bother me now. But it was somebody saw his performance and then came up to him afterwards and said, I'd give my life to play like you. And he said, I did. Yeah. And it's like, well, it's like, yeah, okay, if you want to give your life to play like me, then you fucking can, but you're not going to. So, so don't give me that shit.
That's wicked, man. That's so legit. That's so legit. It's like when you see like you watch. David, do you watch UFC? No. Okay, so
when you are gonna be on it, I'm gonna start watching.
One day, man. One day. We're getting there. It's same thing as like Israel Adesanya. You watch him strike, and there's such a high level of awareness to all the different components around like space and not being too close, not being too far, when to throw a feint, when to throw a real strike. It's so cool but like you said earlier, the theme of this has almost been like transferable skills and learning one and then having the commodity, because you see it across all these different disciplines. Like you're talking about playing a guitar and totally taking away the rule book. And then you see in martial arts where it's like, okay, we learn the fundamentals of this is a jab and this is a low kick, but then you can totally rip up the script and just go with it your own way. That's it's proper ownership, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I like it, man. I like it. Right, guys, what do you think? Should we call the podcast there?
Let's do it, man. That was good. It was
that was fun.
Thank you, guys.
No worries.
That was a cool story, but that's that's also it's also inspiring as well, man. I was like, that's sick. It's just know your shit, live your life well, and you can do whatever you want with it. That's one thing to extrapolate from that is like right. just be a better human being. Just get the fundamentals right, and then you can do whatever you want from there. Yeah. You know,
just take chances, right? Take chances. I like that story, David. I wish you had told me that earlier. That would definitely have played into some of the chats we had at UP.
Yeah,
that's really
kept
cool.
Kept that one up his sleeve.
Yeah. There's levels to this kid.
Exactly, man. That's great. All right. Thank you to everyone tuning in as well. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And give us some feedback. Let us know what you think of it. Just search us on Evolve, Achieve, Thrive on Instagram. That's the handle. And give us a shout. If you're sharing the episode with people, then tell us what they think of it. Tell us what you think of it. And we're always keen to hear from our listeners as well, and get some feedback on that kind of stuff. But until next time. At ease.
See you later, people. See you later.